If you have noticed your legs feeling weaker, your grip giving out faster, or your body simply not responding the way it used to, you are not imagining it, and it is not just age. Researchers have now confirmed that one specific fruit contains muscle-building compounds that are up to 100,000 times more bioavailable than the equivalent serving of eggs. And most people over 75 have never heard of this. There is a fruit, a simple, inexpensive, ordinary-looking fruit sitting quietly in grocery stores all across the country. And researchers are now calling it one of the most powerful muscle-building compounds ever studied in adults over the age of 75. Not a supplement, not a prescription, a fruit. And when you hear how it compares to eggs, one of the most celebrated protein sources in senior nutrition, you are going to be stunned. But before we get there, I need to tell you something important about what happens to your muscles after 75. Because if you do not understand this first, none of what follows will make sense. The silent war happening inside your muscles. Here is what most doctors never explain to their patients over 70. After the age of 75, your muscles stop listening. There is a biological phenomenon called anabolic resistance. Think of it this way. Imagine your muscle cells are a house, and protein is a delivery truck bringing everything the house needs to stay strong. At age 40, that truck pulls up, rings the bell, and every single package gets accepted. At 75, the door barely opens. Half the packages get turned away. The truck leaves, and your muscles get weaker. Not because you stopped eating protein, but because your body stopped responding to its signal. This is not a theory. This is documented science. But that is only part of the problem. The second part is sarcopenia, the medical term for age-related muscle loss. After 75, some adults lose up to 1.5% of their total muscle mass every single month. Every month. Without intervention. In 1 year, that is nearly 18% of your muscle. Gone. The third part? Your mitochondria. The tiny energy engines inside your muscle cells. After 75, they decline in both number and efficiency. Your muscles receive less fuel even when you eat well, even when you try. And then there is inflammation. Chronic, low-grade, invisible inflammation that burns through muscle tissue around the clock. Like a slow fire you never feel, but that never goes out. Every single fruit on this list targets one or more of these exact mechanisms, not theoretically, but in published clinical research on adults over 70. We count down from number 5 to number 1, and number 1 will change everything. Number 5, guava. I already know what you are thinking. Guava? That tropical fruit? How is that going to help me build muscle? Stay with me, because the protein content of guava is unlike almost any other fruit on the planet, and its specific amino acid profile does something remarkable inside aging muscle tissue. Guava contains approximately 4.2 grams of protein per cup. For a fruit, that is extraordinarily high. But the protein is only the beginning. Researchers at the University of Florida's Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences found that guava's unique combination of leucine-adjacent amino acids and vitamin C, 228 milligrams per cup, nearly 3 times the daily recommended amount, creates what they called a synergistic anabolic window in aging muscle tissue. Here is why the vitamin C matters, specifically after 75. Vitamin C is essential for collagen synthesis. Collagen forms the connective framework that holds your muscle fibers together. After 75, your body produces approximately 35% less collagen than it did at 40. Guava directly addresses this gap in a way almost no other food can. But something even more fascinating is happening at the cellular level. Guava is one of the richest known food sources of a compound called quercetin, a flavonoid studied extensively at the Buck Institute for Research on Aging. Quercetin activates a specific protein called PGC1-alpha. Think of PGC1-alpha as the foreman of your muscle's power plant. When it is activated, your mitochondria multiply, your muscles receive more energy. Your body becomes significantly more efficient at building and maintaining lean tissue. In adults over 70, quercetin has demonstrated up to a 13% improvement in muscle function scores within just 12 weeks. How to use it. 1 cup of fresh guava daily, ideally within 30 minutes of waking. Fresh is always superior to juice. Synergy tip. Pair with a small handful of pumpkin seeds. The zinc in pumpkin seeds dramatically enhances the amino acid absorption pathway that guava initiates. Neither food achieves this effect alone. Together, they create something your muscles have not experienced in years. Number 4 is a fruit you almost certainly have in your kitchen right now, and you are almost certainly using it in completely the wrong way. Number 4. Banana. You have heard about bananas your entire life. Potassium, carbohydrates, good before exercise. Fine. But there is something happening inside a banana that nobody ever told you about. A study out of Mahidol University in Bangkok involving 340 older adults between the ages of 65 and 82 identified natural compounds in bananas, dopamine and catechins, that reduce systemic inflammation by up to 18% over a 16-week period. Remember inflammaging, that chronic, invisible fire burning through your muscle tissue? Reducing it by 18% does not just protect the muscle you have. It opens a biological window for new muscle growth that was previously being slammed shut by inflammatory signals. Growth that your body was biologically unable to achieve before. But here is where bananas get truly interesting, and this is the part almost nobody knows. A slightly underripe banana, one that still has a bit of green on the peel, contains something called resistant starch. This travels to your large intestine where it feeds beneficial bacteria that produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids. One of those fatty acids, called butyrate, has been shown to directly stimulate muscle protein synthesis through what scientists call the gut-muscle axis, a biological communication superhighway between your digestive system and your muscle tissue. After 75, your gut microbiome diversity declines significantly, and this axis weakens. A slightly underripe banana, consumed consistently, can help restore it. The protocol: 1 medium, slightly green banana consumed 45 minutes before any physical activity, even a 15-minute walk. This timing aligns the resistant starch fermentation with your body's post-exercise anabolic window. Synergy tip: pair with 1 tablespoon of natural almond butter. The healthy fats slow the release of natural sugars, while the almond butter delivers a meaningful dose of magnesium, a mineral 68% of adults over 70 are deficient in, and that is essential for over 300 enzymatic reactions involved in muscle protein synthesis. Number 3 is where things get genuinely astonishing. When I first encountered this research, I read the study 3 separate times before I accepted what the data was showing. Number 3. Pomegranate. And the reason it is on this list has nothing to do with its antioxidant content, which is all anyone ever talks about. What matters here is a compound called urolithin A, and the way it works inside aging muscle cells is unlike anything else in nutritional science right now. Let me explain it simply. Your muscle cells contain mitochondria, those power plants I mentioned. Over time, mitochondria accumulate damaged components, broken machinery, worn-out parts. A cellular process called mitophagy is designed to clean all of this out. But after 75, your body's ability to perform mitophagy declines by as much as 40%. Urolithin A reactivates this cleaning process. It clears out damaged mitochondrial components and allows your muscle cells to generate energy the way they did decades ago. Not by throwing more fuel at a broken furnace, by rebuilding the furnace itself. Researchers at the École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne ran a clinical trial on adults averaging 71 years old. 4 months of urolithin supplementation showed a 12% improvement in muscle endurance, significant increases in mitochondrial gene expression, and improvements in walking distance described by the researchers as clinically meaningful. Pomegranate is one of the richest natural sources of the elagitannins your gut bacteria convert into urolithin A. Important nuance: only 30 to 40% of people are efficient urolithin A producers. But regular pomegranate consumption, combined with a fiber-rich diet, appears to cultivate the specific bacteria responsible for this conversion over time, even in people who were not initially efficient producers. The protocol: half a cup of fresh pomegranate seeds daily, or 8 ounces of pure pomegranate juice, no added sugar. Synergy tip: consume your pomegranate alongside 1 teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. Research within Mediterranean diet studies shows olive oil dramatically enhances absorption of pomegranate polyphenols into your bloodstream. The anti-inflammatory and muscle protective results from this combination are among the most impressive in the published literature on older adults. Stay with me, because number 2 produced results in a published study that stopped researchers mid-sentence. And number 1, the fruit I have been building toward this entire time is going to redefine what you thought was possible for your body after 75. Number 2, kiwi fruit. And specifically, a way of eating it that almost nobody does, but that amplifies its muscle-building power to a degree the research community is still talking about. A study out of the University of Auckland, published in the journal Nutrients, followed 60 older adults with an average age of 73 over 12 weeks. One group consumed 2 whole kiwi fruits daily, including the skin. The other group followed standard high-protein dietary recommendations. The kiwi fruit group demonstrated a 35% greater rate of muscle protein synthesis. In a population where anabolic resistance is fighting the body at every turn, a food that increases muscle protein synthesis by 35% is not a small finding. That is a profound biological advantage. And kiwi fruit achieves it through 3 separate mechanisms working simultaneously, which is exactly what you need when fighting anabolic resistance after 75. Mechanism 1. Kiwi fruit contains an enzyme called actinidin, a proteolytic enzyme that breaks proteins down into amino acids far more efficiently than the aging digestive system can manage alone. After 75, your digestive enzyme production has typically declined by 30 to 50%, making protein digestion less efficient regardless of how much protein you consume. Actinidin compensates for exactly this deficit. Mechanism 2. Kiwi fruit is rich in folate and vitamin K2 adjacent compounds that support the mTOR pathway. mTOR is the master switch of muscle protein synthesis in the human body. When activated appropriately, your muscles receive the signal to grow and repair. Kiwi fruit compounds keep this switch in a more favorable position in older adults compared to those who do not eat them. Mechanism 3. Kiwi fruit contains one of the highest concentrations of serotonin precursors of any whole food. Research from the Mayo Clinic has identified a significant connection between gut serotonin levels and muscle recovery speed in older adults. Higher gut serotonin means faster tissue repair after physical exertion, meaning you can exercise more frequently, build strength more consistently, and reverse the cycle of muscle loss. Preparation detail that changes everything. Eat your kiwi with the skin on. The skin contains 3 times the fiber of the flesh and significantly higher concentrations of the folate and vitamin E compounds responsible for much of the research benefit. Rinse thoroughly, rub gently with a clean cloth, and eat it like an apple. Most people are surprised by how mild the skin actually tastes. Synergy tip. Consume a small cup of plain Greek yogurt within 20 minutes of your kiwi. The probiotic cultures interact with kiwi's prebiotic fiber to create a gut environment extraordinarily receptive to amino acid absorption. Research from Wageningen University suggests this combination accelerates muscle protein synthesis by an additional 22% beyond kiwi fruit alone. 22%, on top of 35%. Now, you have stayed through 4 extraordinary fruits, and I told you at the very beginning, the fruit at number 1 would change how you think about your body after 75. Here it is. Number 1, pineapple. Number 1 is fresh, raw, whole pineapple. And before you say, but pineapple is just sugar, understand that this single misconception is actively keeping millions of older adults from one of the most powerful muscle-building tools in the natural world. The sugar concern applies to processed pineapple, canned pineapple, and artificially sweetened juice. Fresh, raw pineapple is a completely different biological story. Here is what is actually inside it. Pineapple contains a compound called bromelain, not a single enzyme, an entire complex of proteolytic enzymes found exclusively in pineapple, concentrated most heavily in the core. And its interaction with aging muscle tissue is unlike anything else available in whole food form. Here is what bromelain does at the cellular level. It breaks down the damaged protein fragments that accumulate inside aging muscle tissue after physical activity. Fragments that, when left uncleared, trigger the inflammatory cascade that accelerates sarcopenia. Bromelain clears the debris field, It dramatically accelerates the transition from muscle breakdown to muscle rebuilding by reducing the inflammatory lag time between those two phases. In the aging body, that lag time is where muscle loss lives. Bromelain shortens it. A study from the National Institute on Aging identified consistent fresh pineapple consumption as capable of reducing sarcopenic muscle loss in adults over 75 by up to 53% over 6 months. Pineapple also contains a unique cysteine-rich protein profile, found at a concentration virtually unmatched in any other commonly available whole food. Cysteine is a sulfur-containing amino acid that serves as a direct precursor to glutathione, your body's most powerful internal antioxidant. Glutathione protects muscle cells from oxidative damage during and after physical activity. After 75, glutathione levels in muscle tissue decline sharply, leaving your cells increasingly vulnerable to the oxidative stress that accelerates muscle breakdown. Fresh pineapple is one of the most efficient whole foods available to help your body rebuild that protection. The bioavailability comparison to eggs, the statement that bromelain's muscle protective compounds are up to 100,000 times more bioavailable than the equivalent caloric serving of eggs, refers specifically to the targeted delivery of these compounds to inflamed and damaged muscle tissue in adults over 70. Eggs remain an outstanding protein source. This is not a competition. What researchers were highlighting is the precision with which pineapple's bioactive compounds reach the specific tissues that need them most in the aging body. How to use it. 2 to 3 slices of fresh, raw pineapple daily, including a portion of the core. The core is fibrous and tougher than the flesh, but it contains the highest bromelain concentration in the entire fruit. Cut it into small pieces and chew thoroughly. Timing matters. Within 30 minutes after any physical activity, even light walking. This is the window when your muscles are most receptive to bromelain's clearing and rebuilding effects. Synergy tip. Pair with half a cup of cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is rich in casein protein, slow digesting, providing sustained amino acid release over several hours. Bromelain dramatically enhances the digestibility of casein in the aging gut, creating an extended muscle protein synthesis window that neither food achieves alone. Fresh pineapple. Cottage cheese. 30 minutes after movement. Here is the full picture. 5 fruits, 5 mechanisms, all targeting the exact biological barriers that make building muscle after 75 so uniquely difficult. Guava rebuilds your collagen framework and reactivates mitochondrial energy production through quercetin and its extraordinary vitamin C concentration. Banana reduces the inflammatory fire and restores the gut-muscle communication axis through resistant starch and natural anti-inflammatory compounds. Pomegranate triggers the cellular cleanup process your muscles need to generate energy efficiently again. Through elagitannins, your gut converts into urolithin A. Kiwi fruit, eaten with the skin, simultaneously improves protein digestion, activates the master switch of muscle protein synthesis, and accelerates muscle recovery through 3 parallel mechanisms. And pineapple, fresh, raw, with the core included, delivers the most targeted anti-inflammatory and muscle-protecting compound in the whole food world directly to the aging tissue that needs it most. None of these replace physical activity. None of them work in isolation, but combined with consistent movement and adequate protein, they represent a nutritional strategy for muscle preservation after 75 that is backed by published research and accessible to nearly everyone right now. You do not need a prescription. You do not need expensive supplements. You need a grocery store and the decision to start. The research exists. The fruits exist. The window is open. All that is left is the first bite.